Welcome, everybody. Melody LeBaron here with another Agents of Transformation interview, this time with Elder Mary Lane, who has walked the archetypal journey through the healing of the wounded feminine. She has distilled the wisdom from her lifelong experiences, her deep connection with the natural world, with spirit allies, and pivotal trainings that have supported her to translate and articulate the sacred language of our mother. She is the author of Divine Nourishment, A Woman's Sacred Journey with Food, and the author of Mina, which is a fiery story of a heroine's initiation, and both are available on Amazon. Because Mary embodies the journey, she supports women to navigate and distill the wisdom of their own journey. So, Mary, welcome. I am so excited to have you to share you with my community. And as my community knows, I believe strongly in bringing loss and death and grief into the circle of life. And so maybe we'll just start there, because these are areas that I find Western culture immature, almost non-literate. And I know you to be someone who has made friends with all of these areas: loss, grief, and death.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melody. I'm so honored to be here to begin with, and I appreciate the opportunity to just talk story and share a little bit with your community. And interestingly, but if you took all of those components, loss, grief, and death, three pieces that are basically devoid of the old paradigm's embrace. I would connect that dot with our embrace of the mother, our embrace of Mother Nature. And it is so woven into, the fabric of the natural world that to embrace her, I had to embrace all of these aspects that are part of the natural world, actually.
Yeah. And we are at a time, we live in the mountains of Western North Carolina, and we are at a time of the year in October when Mother Nature is showing us how to let go of what no longer serves, how to let go of even what is beautiful that we have loved.
Interestingly, when I look out and I experience autumn, first of all, I'm in the autumn of my own life. So in a lifespan, I consider myself in the autumn season. But I also feel like, and you might be able to share a little bit about this as well, is that in autumn, that is when I really witness life and death so close together, so not separate in any way.
Yes.
As the death of the leaves and the letting go of the leaves of the trees, and the coming back into herself, and the death of the outward expression. At the same time, the seeds are dropping, and be embedded down for gestation for the next generation of life. It's like it's really obvious in this season that you cannot separate the two.
No.
It's a beautiful, beautiful display of it, don't you think?
I do. And for me, it's like so easy to see that this last year's leaves are already becoming the nutrients for the next year's growth. Like there's the golden leaves here fall first. And so we walk on this golden path. And then a week later, as the orange and red leaves are falling, we see the mycelial networks or mushrooms are popping up already. And we just see that what has passed, what we do need to let go of are the nutrients for our growth, our maturity, our insight, our wisdom, our compassion. And when we resist, when we push away the letting go, when we resist the death of what of what is ready to go, we literally are going against nature.
Exactly. In one of the courses that I teach with Lee Warren, Walking Towards a Good Death, I ask the participants, what does it feel like to open your hands to let go? And energetically, it's the same thing as receiving. So what you're describing is if we can't let go of the old, we can't receive the new. And the posturing, if you were to open up for both, is the same. And what I'm finding in the natural world, and what we keep bringing up already, is the what we consider in an old paradigm an either or perception. If it's this, it can't be that. And what we're talking about in the natural world is that it is always this and that.
Right.
So the same as letting go and receiving, and life and death walk side by side, joy and grief, all of it, like what you were talking about earlier, the relationship with grief, the relationship with death. What I've discovered over time is that if I'm pushing that away, I'm also pushing its counterbalance away. I can't push that away and embrace the other.
Right.
So I can't embrace joy if I'm pushing away grief. And what I'm witnessing and experiencing as an elder is, and I mentioned this to somebody the other day, is that by the time I am ready to leave this body, I want to be fully alive. And what I mean by that, and fully human, is that I'm able to feel all of that. I'm not pushing anything away. I'm allowing all the different flavors of what it means to be alive, uh, alive in me. And it doesn't mean I want to come into, slide into death, with, off of a bungee cord, because that's, for some being alive, I want it to be alive at the depth of my being. And so I feel like that's my walk as an elder, is embracing myself as part of the natural world more and more and more. It's a beautiful walk, and that includes death and grief and loss.
Yeah. So tell us a little more about the Walking Towards a Good Death program that you and Lee are doing together.
Well, that just kind of last year came as kind of a little bit of a download. She invited me over and said, let's talk about doing something. And it just was like, bam, And it's what we've narrowed it down to is it's 4 weeks, and each week we are focused on an aspect of that supports us to walk towards a good death. And that is letting go and presence, and seeing ourselves as from a soul perspective, and looking at our lives as a soul-driven life, which really changes how we view everything,
Right.
and then being able to receive. And those are the four components. Well, in order to really, what's interesting is that these really support having a good death, but what supports that to be able to have a good death is we have to walk it in life once again. So it's like how you walk through life really is how you will walk through death, because life and death is happening constantly, as you know. So
Right.
it's almost like we're practicing showing up for both life and death. So for even for people who aren't looking directly into the face of death, this is what I am a proponent of because of my relationship with the natural world, is that if we are walking with life and death constantly, the death of the old, the birth of the new, how do you really how do you really show up and know what's ready to be let go of? What is run its course if we're not present?
Right.
How do we really allow ourselves, when if we were to compare our life with what this old paradigm says is a successful life, a life, well, that is a lot of accomplishment in life, we would oftentimes die going, I failed. I missed the mark. I didn't live up to expectations. When I look at the journey that I have walked of transformation from this perspective of my soul, I can say, job well done.
Mm-hmm. Right. The old saying that we often heard was, "He who dies with the most toys wins." And this is really the mark of a patriarchal one up, one down mindset.
Exactly.
Life is not a zero sum win lose game. And I have worked with people who are dying, as have you. And one of the things I'm sure you've heard is that I wish I had spent less time working and more time with my loved ones, and
Exactly.
more time with my gifts. I had one of my closest friends who died in 2002. Um, she was such a powerful, we were so close and our lives so similar in so many ways. We were both building our businesses and devoted to our students, to our clients, as well as to our loved ones. And she was diagnosed with terminal cancer and given 3 months to live. And in the 6 months that she lived, as she was doing a life review, she very often shared with me, I wish I had spent less time working and more time with my family, with my closest loved ones. And I'm sure this is a regret that is very common for people who are trying to achieve success, the way
Exactly.
that our culture defines success. And these experiences and experiences that I've had all the way back to when my mother died when I was 35 have really shaped the way I live my life and how I make daily decisions. So is that kind of what you're talking about when you say um, that death informs our, or should inform our lives?
In a way, yes, absolutely. When I talk about death informs our lives, that's big territory. You know, it's hard to narrow it down to just that. But what I have realized over time, I had a, you know, like you said, in when your mother died, it was life changing for you. When my mother died when I was in my early 30s, that was also life changing, but for a different reason. I witnessed somebody that on her deathbed was terrified of death and felt not worthy
Mm.
of receiving divine love. And so it was an awful death to witness. And at that moment, 50 years ago, I'm, 40 years ago, I am, I said, I'm going to start letting go now, which is exact opposite of what our culture teaches us to do, in alignment with what you just shared. And so it set me down that path. And what I realized over time, like I'm, not very good at it for a long time, and really had to, really work this and see when I wasn't able to let go, let go, let go. But the best thing that has come out of this, I feel, is that the recognition that everything it has an expiration. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship. It doesn't matter if it's a chapter in life. It doesn't matter if it's an identity, a belief structure. It doesn't matter.
A possession. Yeah. All of it.
Possessions, all of it will end. It has a death. And how that has informed my life is that it has, holding that in one hand makes me really show up for what is there in that moment, in that chapter, in that relationship, knowing that it will end,
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing it will end. And so, and I'm getting better at that. I'm not saying the light bulb just turned on and I'm going, I got this down. But what it has done is over time really fed that to where I want to show up for the deep feelings. Like what your friend said, I want to spend more time with my loved ones. I'm in I feel like I'm entering in this elderhood now at 72. I don't want to be spending all my time so outward, active, pushing, all of that. I want to go in. I want to be able to really drop into what's really important. I want to let go of the possessions that really don't matter anymore. And I feel like the more that I prepare for a good death, the more alive I feel from a depth that is coming from my heart and soul instead of an aliveness of what I have grabbed from outside of myself.
So,
And
really, what we're talking about here is an initiation that constellates our identity from that something within that you referred to as a soul perspective,
right,
and that constellates our assemblage point within instead of on any construct, belief, identity, possession, relationship outside of us.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just about to start a Crone circle as well. And interestingly enough, I presented it to some women as, I kept asking the question, how do I do a Crone circle? It's like in working with death, the Crone kind of rose up in me and said, well, that's my domain.
Right.
That is my domain. And so it motivated me to start a Crone circle. And I'm going, how do I honor elder women in a Crone circle? It's not about me sharing something from outside of them that they need. They have it. They've got it. It's like, so what I did is I formatted it in a way that, let's just ask ourselves a question for the month, and starting with, what is my relationship with the crone now? And let's keep asking ourselves, what is that? What is that? What is that? And write and journal and um, and allow that to speak from the inside, from the depths of our being. So what we're doing is inviting her to become stronger and stronger and birth her, midwife her through us from our internal landscape, not only as in our own relationship with her, but then into the world, because we are going through a massive death. We do need the crone in her essence, in what she really, really is the master of. She is the gatekeeper of the portal of life and death.
Right.
So is in alignment with the natural world, this is what for me, in at this time in my life, this is what I want to make sure. She is alive, she is well, she is healthy in her own unique expression through my own heart and soul. And we are not grabbing from outside of ourselves. We are midwifing from within. And let's you know and let's come to the circle with that. What did you discover? Let's write it. Let's put an anthology of not just our own voices of the crone, but a compilation of the group voices of the crone. And let's offer that up and let that ripple out, so that we are not just doing this for ourselves as well, but we are doing this in service to
For
a
the
world that really needs her right now.
yeah. Yeah.
And so, once again, it is pulling from a recognition of who I am on a soul level, and the transformations that I'm very scorpionic. I have so much Scorpio Pluto energy in me, it scares a lot of people. But what that means is, on a soul level, I signed up to come in here in this incarnation to transform my own wounding with the old paradigm from lifetimes ago, and support that for the collective. But every phase of my life, it is, what am I transforming now? And I'm transforming my relationship with the crown and death, because an elderhood, that's the season that I'm in.
Right.
Earlier, at a younger time in my life, when I was more in the maiden, mother period of my life, I was transforming sexuality. I was transforming relationship with Mother Earth, with the divine, with the feminine, and now it's transforming relationship with death and the crown.
Yeah.
And all I can do really, in as far as I'm concerned, is share what I'm learning, share what my journey of transformation is teaching me, the wisdom that I've garnered from actually walking the journey. And I cannot share what I don't know
Right.
experientially.
Yeah.
I I feel like that gives me a that's my real credibility, if you
Right.
want to say, for lack of other words. And then it also gives me the ability to support others, to share, to step forward with their gifts from their own, what they're learning from their own journey.
Right. So basically, what you're describing is a PhD in integrating and transmuting your own lived experience, which allows you to guide other people to do the same kind of thing. And I know you do private work with clients. I know you have these groups. You mentioned the Crone group. You mentioned the Walking Towards a Good Death course. Is there anything else you would just like people to know about? And then please include how people can get in touch with you, where they can find you.
Okay. Well, I also want to mention Making Friends with Death, because I just, as you know, reformatted that. So now I have these incredible hour-long conversations, and one of them I had with you,
Yes.
that on these different angles of making friends with death and all that goes with it, with these incredible change makers like you that are out in front doing this work. And I feel like that is supporting the transformation of our relationship with death, one conversation at a time. And I've decided I'm just posting a link to every conversation, and I'm posting one a month featuring a different guest each month. And then you can listen to our conversation whenever you want. It's totally free. I decided I just wanted to offer it so that it can support people. And with no obligate, no nothing, just listen and see if it can support you. All my programs are on my website, divinenourishment.net, including the links to my books. So you can find everything there, um, including how to contact me with my email address. You can subscribe to my newsletter. So
And is the Crone Circle still open or has it closed?
it's open until November 3rd.
Okay.
Yes, and then I want to run it for a year where it's a closed container, because we're building on the journey through the year. But um, I am, everything I do is in alignment with my relationship with the natural world, whether it's the plant spirit essences, the herbalism, the going into the woods and wild foraging, whether it's making friends with death. I mean, all of it. I do my best so that underneath the foundation of everything I offer, we are coming back into right relationship with Mother Earth. That's the bottom line for me.
And
And she is my greatest teacher.
yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Mary. This conversation has been wonderful. I feel like I found a heart sister the first time I met you. And I'm really thrilled to be able to share what you were doing and your perspective, your voice, your wisdom, your work with my community. So thank you so much.
Oh, Melody, thank you so much. Yes, we are definitely sisters, soul sisters.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melody. I appreciate it.
Yeah.